Welcome to your weekend edition. Friday it is. Again, the crypto world is the talk du jour. The market's looking a bit weak, and same with oil. All of that will be discussed on today's show. Big shout out to everybody who's joining us today. I am broadcasting from Mars today. I know you saw that graphic. You know, I gotta say, I am, whether you believe that the lunar landing was a complete hoax or not, it's pretty impressive. If we actually did make it to Mars, which I am a believer that we did, to remote control land, not even remote control land, but to program in a landing of a vessel, what is it, 38 million miles away? Pretty incredible. And, you know, hopefully in my lifetime we'll be able to explore Mars. With my anxiety of airplanes in flight, I really don't think I could make a 6-month airplane ride. But who knows? At some point in the near future, that may be a reality to all of us. So congratulations to NASA for landing another lander on the moon, and hopefully get more information from this one. Pretty impressive job. Basically what it tells me, though, is competition is going to be heating up for this space, because whoever dominates Mars, there's a whole bunch of new resources there, which will be pretty impressive. So again, cheers. Today we're going a little nice cold glass of celebratory whiskey, most likely because of the crypto gains this week. Trading was okay for me, nothing over the top spectacular, but the crypto world has been absolutely incredible. All right, I will start things off just by saying, you know, this is going to be a listener-driven question show driven today. I actually have some pretty exciting news with regards to guest lists for next week, which I will tell you at the end of the show, and actually lined up another guest, which actually it's a company. You guys might have heard of the Small Exchange. I had a conversation with them this morning. This is something that Tom Sosnoff and a team put together, which is basically a kind of a whole new market concept, and it's it's actually tradable right now. So I'm very interested to talk to these guys. They'll probably be on the week after next, but I wanted to throw that one out there because I'm pretty excited about new markets and developments of exchanges and things like that, where we might be able to have different trading and investing opportunities. So a ton of exciting guests next week and the week after. So Daniel says Knob Creek is my on my crude oil shorts. Excellent. That was actually a great question. This for today's show is about crude oil. So let me wet the whistle here, and I will get things started. All right, so first off, I have to start with this one, and I apologize if I disrespect anybody or make anybody feel rude, but I have to start with a donkey of the day. And it goes back to the testimony that was done a couple days ago. And I was talking about how some of these people just don't know what they're talking about. Unfortunately, I cannot remember the name of the gentleman, but he's a pastor from, I believe it was Missouri. And he gets on this program, and he's testifying in front of Congress, and he immediately goes to Vlad, the CEO of Robinhood, and he's like, well, you know, I have a son, and he's stammering, clearly not prepared whatsoever, has no idea about how financial markets work, and he proceeds to say this. And as a parent, I have to just say, why would you ever say anything like this? He goes, well, my son, who's on the other side of the wall here, I love him dearly. I love my son. But he's got no job, got no skills, got no career. He got nothing going on. I'm like, man, you're a real bad parent if you just lay it on your kid like that on national television, basically calling your kid a loser. He's 23 years old, living at home. And this guy goes on to ask all these stupid questions. So, bravo for, I guess, bilking your people or convincing your constituents that they should vote for you. But you seem like one of the dumbest people on earth during that trial. I could not believe it. Anyway, we all have a bad day. There goes my rant. I'm done. We'll just call it the donkey of the day, the representative from, I believe, was Missouri. Okay, enough of that. Let's not belittle. Let's be kind and think positive thoughts. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all, right? Yeah, my mom made me miss that lesson out there. All right, questions. Let's go into it. I got a bunch of them. Do you have any recommendations for space stocks? All right. Well, I am not deep effing value. I don't really look at the fundamentals that in depth. But bottom line is, I think today, or the landing a couple days ago, should really make us all feel like there's some hope. There's something to focus on, a positive light out there. And what will happen here is a lot of companies are going to be jumping in that space. I am not one of those that dives specifically into a market sector that I'm not familiar with. So I'm not really that familiar with the space sector. So what I would probably do is I would go towards the ETFs. Now, the danger with some of these ETFs, like UFO is one of the major ones, ARKK is another one, and I'll bring the charts up here for you so you guys can see it. The problem with this is they're not necessarily carrying just space stocks. I think some of you guys might be looking at going into things like SpaceX, right, which is not public yet, or Bezos' Blue Origin. They're not public yet, right? So it's going to be challenging to buy specifically those now. At some point, they'll probably IPO on, SpaceX. Who knows? Maybe the largest IPO, given Elon Musk's amazing ability to hype things up. But here's UFO, just to give you an idea of what that might look like. A lot of these are going to have companies like Lockheed Martin and Boeing and Raytheon, really going into like defense technology ones, which and some space companies that are providing parts. But really, is there a true space company out there to buy? Well, there is, and I'll run through that in a sec. So here's UFO. I wanted just to show that ETF. The problem with this ETF, as you can see at the bottom, it has very low volume, right? It's averaging about 142,000 shares per day. That's pretty weak. Actually, I think, let me zoom in here because I think it might actually be different than 142,000. Yeah, it's 142,000 average per day. Pretty weak. Now, if we look at the other one I mentioned, ARKK, you've got a much better volume, but again, it's not specifically space. I know it's targeted as a space type of ETF, but really it's got Boeing in there, and like I said, Boeing, Lockheed Martin, those types of companies. Now, here's one that might be of interest to you, Astra Space. We did a show a couple weeks ago on SPACs, Specialty Purpose Acquisition Companies. And what's happening is a lot of these SPACs are starting up, and they're rightfully so, and it's a brilliant idea in my opinion, start a SPAC and basically go, what's the hottest thing in the market right now? I'm going to ask you guys. You can only type in one, but I'm pretty sure that the bulk of you are going to type in one of three categories that I have in my mind. Type in what you think is the hottest sector or area of the financial markets. Go ahead and type it into the chat. I'm going to stall here for a little bit, let you guys type it in just to see what you think. But to me, it revolves around one of three, and I'll write them down on my end. Okay, just so I don't forget. I want to make sure I get all mine in. But type it in the chat there. I want to see what you guys think. What's a brilliant idea is you start a SPAC, which is a blank check company, right? You get all of the money into your pool of assets, and then you can go out and you can buy some company and bring them to market, okay? Take them out of being private, and now they'll go public. And what you're seeing with these SPACs is they're targeting pretty much all of these three specific sectors. All right, I see you guys going, Medic says Bitcoin, which we'll lump into crypto, right? We'll say the whole crypto sphere. But you got Bitcoin, crypto. Okanola says Moon or Rocket. Okay, those are specific companies. Let's see, what else I got? Crypto, EV. I'm surprised. For me, it's space, EV, and crypto would be the three if I had to lump them and say these are the top three areas for future prospects. And you notice that almost all of these SPACs are buying in that specific one. Yeah, energy is hot right now because of the trend, but it's not like it's a new thing, right? You're not seeing SPACs go in, I believe, and really bring in fossil fuel companies or coal. Maybe alternative energy, right? Alternative energy being super hot. But I think you're seeing, SPACs are getting into that EV space. They're diving full into that. Gretchen says blockchain. Yes, blockchain, but that train is rolling. Yeah, and Daryl, you're probably right. Marijuana, I think that the whole cannabis industry had their hype a couple years ago, and now they're starting to, they faded out a little bit because they cratered because they were overpriced. But now you're seeing that resurgence in marijuana. So yeah, if that was you pick your first, second, third, fourth place finishers there. But to me, that's it. Crypto, electric vehicles, space, and cannabis. Those to me would be the major ones. So I wanted to bring up two SPACs specifically that are in that space area. I'll bring up some charts for you. They haven't done the full acquisition yet, but HOL, which is Holicity, or Holy City, I don't know what you want to call it. This company is buying a company called Astra Space. This security you see right here, HOL, is a SPAC, right? You can see they were really doing nothing until just a couple weeks ago, but now they've intended to buy Astra Space, and that would bring them to market. That would be a specific space-related company. Another one is Momentous. They're another one in that space. Space. I'll be using the word space way too many times. Somebody keeping track of how many times I say space on today's show? Leave an extra space. So SRAC, that's another one that is, this is the Stable Road acquisition. So here's another SPAC, but they're buying a company called Momentous. And those acquisitions, I'm not sure exactly when they will transition over, but at some point, SRAC will change their ticker symbol. It will probably be something like MOM or MTUS or whatever the ticker symbol will ultimately end up being. So to me, SPACs might be a way for you to target specific industry segments. Remember, when a company builds a SPAC, they specifically say we're looking to acquire companies in this space. So when you have VIH, they were looking in the crypto space, and that's where they ended up. You have specific ones targeting, like I'm pretty sure that HOL or Holicity was saying, look, we're looking for space exploration, space development ones, and they found that. Now that takes some digging on your part. We showed a while back a list or a web page that actually had all the different SPACs and showed you their intent, which area of the market they were looking to go into. Now, to me, that's a needle in a haystack. This dives into a couple of different questions here, and I'll get into the specifics of VIH, the one that I was in. But the issue with it is you're looking for that needle in a haystack. It's almost like buying a penny stock, because you're kind of hoping that whoever runs that SPAC made the right decision. Not only found the right company to bring to market, but also acquired it at a fair value to bring it to market. So it's a challenging thing for me to figure out. Alan says, take a drink each time Space is said. We're going to have to make this a short show because I might be hammered by the end of that. Yes, Pepe, I'm using Redbreast single barrel Irish whiskey today. It's good. Pretty tasty. Little sweet, but you know what? This week was pretty damn sweet. And when you look at Bitcoin at $56,000 a coin, I'll call it a sweet week. It's interesting. Back in December, when I told you guys I was switching over to, or not switching, but opening a BlockFi account, which again, some of you actually have emailed me and said, hey, give me a reference code for BlockFi. If you're signing up for these things, talk to Brendan or myself, because a lot of times there's reference codes, which will not only give me free stuff, but give you free stuff too if you're thinking about opening these accounts. Back in December, when I transferred that one Bitcoin over, it was $18,000. Now, since like December 8th, I've had it in there accumulating 6% interest. It's made about $650 in interest alone. Of course, you can look at the appreciation to, we're looking at a pretty significant, nice move up. That was awesome. Space the time between drinks. See, I keep saying space. Damn you guys. Okay, so that's what I'd have to give you, Keith, on as far as space. I'm sure that there's resources on the web that could dive much deeper into the specific details of the company. I, for one, would probably go with an ETF just to offset some of the risk of buying into specific companies. Now, that said, when you go and look at UFO or ARKK, you might want to look at the component list and put them side by side and see if there's any companies that you want to have extra exposure to, or maybe companies you don't want exposure to. And when you line up the holdings list there, that might help you out, as well as help you identify if any of those ETFs are overweighted in a specific company. Like, there's a lot of these ETFs in the energy space, alternative energy, that are overweighted in Tesla. Well, that might not be appealing to many people. Okay, Tom says space is so 1960s. By the way, did you look at the uniforms? Like, I thought these Elon Musk team uniforms look badass. Like, they look cool. Whereas opposed to the John Glenn thing, it's like just moving around like a zombie. The Elon Musk ones, he like hired Fendi or something to come in there and do design for us. Oh, Pepe, when you have a chance, you keep reminding me. I will show you guys a picture. I don't have it on this computer, but I thought it was kind of a joke a couple years back when Trump was saying, I'm starting Space Force. I just kind of held my head in my hand and went, really? Like we're so interested in defending space at this point because the aliens are just bombarding us. I made a full-on Space Force soldier costume on my 3D printers. It's pretty badass. And actually, the back of the helmet is the best part. All right. I'm not going to say the S word again because it's going to continue to make me drink this one. I'm already getting flushed with color. So there you go, Keith. That's what I got for you on space. ETFs or check out some of these new SPACs coming to market. That said, that will dump us into our next one here, which is Scott saying, nice drop in oil. What's your target? Yeah, I'm hoping that some of you guys got on this trade. This one was nice. When we looked at crude oil a couple days ago, the question was, what's the thought on oil? And I said, hey, we've had a hell of a run. You look at what's happening in Texas right now. Refineries are shut down. I think a lot of that is already priced in. That's probably why we're seeing this nice big move up for the past couple weeks in crude oil. But you look at where it ran into. We mapped this one out. We said, hey, it's coming right into an area of overhead supply. I mean, we hit that one dead on, and it's been 2 days of nothing but sell-off, which has been great for anybody who's short on this one. Someone said, where's my target on it? Okay, I'll get that question in just a second, Brian. Where's my target on it? I'll be honest, I don't think you're going to see oil sell off too much. You do have this area, which is, we're almost there already. I mean, it's really starting right here, right around, let's call it 58.50, Well, you're at 59.04 right now on crude oil futures. Do we go all the way back down to 52? I just see too much strength in the area in oil. I don't know. I don't think you'll see it drip all the way down to 52 right now. I believe that trend is still really strong and intact, but I could be wrong. Crude oil inventories come out next week. We've had 10 out of the last 11 weeks of crude oil inventories have been contractions in supply. The more that supply contracts, the more likely prices are going to move up, right? Because as supply drops and demand, let's say, stays the same, price is going to go up, right? But here I think we have a different situation with crude oil, because if we look at that equation between buyers and sellers, supply and demand, supply is dwindling for multiple reasons in the U.S. Not dwindling, it sounds so desperate, but it's dropping for a couple different reasons. Number one, obviously most of the refineries are shut down in Texas right now, and good news is they're getting back online and people can finally get clean drinking water and hopefully get back to a normal life down there in Texas. But refineries are shut down. That is certainly an impact on the supply. Number two, as I mentioned, was administration change, right? So you now have a different president who is kind of going to lean more towards anti-fossil fuels and go more towards alternative energy. So you have two pretty big shots across the bow for crude oil. That's driving price up, right? Because you have supply crunch. And if we continue to see crude oil inventories drop, that should further bolster price to the upside. So I think you'll probably get a small pullback here on crude oil before bouncing back up. Yes, Okanola says OPEC is talking about increasing supply. Look, they have the name cartel. Cartel to me is just a fancy word for gang, right? It's the same damn thing. I don't trust OPEC anyway. I mean, they have way too much power with what they can do. If they increase supply, of course, to offset maybe some of ours, that would put a negative pressure on price. However, if you're OPEC, if you own all of the, not all of it, if you own a bulk of the supply of anything, the last thing you want to do is put more supply out there because you'll push price down. Would OPEC oil producing countries in OPEC want to sell their oil at $60 a barrel or sell the same amount at $80 a barrel? I'm in the $80 camp. If you are one of the believers, like I am, that the De Beers company is the most intelligent, well thought out scam on earth, because they cornered the market on diamonds, and they get diamonds which really aren't that rare, and they put them on the shelf, they hide them from supply, and create a great marketing campaign that makes every woman in the world believe she has to have a 5-carat rock on her finger to show how much we love them. That is the biggest scam that's ever been pulled on humankind, in my opinion. And what did they do? Is De Beers going to go out there and flood the market with these diamonds that they're keeping in their shelves in storage lockers somewhere? Hell no. Keep diamonds way up at a high price, because I have to sell fewer of them and I make more money. So even though OPEC says they're going to increase supply, makes me a little bit wary. If I was in their shoes, I'd let it keep on rallying up. A higher price on oil just makes it better for me as a seller of that supply. I noticed I haven't gotten any hate messages from the ladies on there talking about my De Beers scam. Sorry about that. All right, so there, Scott, is my thought on crude oil. It's been phenomenal. We hit a pretty nice supply zone, but I don't expect to see much of a big sell-off there with crude oil. All right, another sip. I'm going to say the word space right now just so I can have a drink. All right, said it. So here's another one. This one's rather complicated, and I'm not that well versed on it. And I think I've made my point clear on this one. I bought VIH specifically because I want to have access to the IPO, if you will. In this case, I don't know what you would call it, because it's not really truly an IPO, is it? Remember, there's two parties that are coming to market, which to me, wow, thank you so much, Not Bad Whiskey. Appreciate the donation here for the Friday. That's awesome. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, Not Bad, you get priority. Let me know what it is. But thank you so much for listening to the show and supporting me over the years. I do appreciate it. Remember, I told you there's two companies to me that are really going to create waves this year. And 2021 will be the year of crypto if it's not already. Now, first one will be Coinbase. Coinbase is going to go through the traditional IPO channel, which means they're going to get an underwriter. That underwriter is going to do everything in their power to hype up crypto, and they don't need to do much, do they? Given what's going on in the crypto markets, this is the easiest one to sell for anybody who's the underwriter. So really, Coinbase is in the driver's seat because they can kind of find whoever they want, negotiate the best deal, and come to market. Regardless, there's going to be so much hype when Coinbase comes out with their actual IPO. I think the market valuation right now was $77 billion. I assure you, I'll bet almost anything that the price when it finally comes out is way higher than the initial strike price. So let's say, for example, you hear all the analysts on TV talking. They say the IPO price of Coinbase should be, and I'm making this up, let's say $35. And they pump it and they pump it. And a couple days before it goes public, oh, it's now 45. And then all of a sudden you'll see the first trade at like 70. You're like, wait a minute, you said it was 35. I did a market order to buy because you said first trade was going to be 35. That's hype. To me, that's the problem with the IPO, which why I was so happy to see the second competitor in the crypto space, which is going to be coming quote unquote public this year, is BAKKT, Backed. Now this one is the ICE and NYSE and a bunch of executives from prominent financial firms are now running the show here for a crypto exchange. Now that one, as I mentioned, is being acquired by a SPAC with the ticker symbol VIH. So Tim says, you've talked about VIH. Could you explain the difference between VIH, VIHAW, VIHAU? Don't understand the difference between the three. Which one is best for investment? Okay. It's a bit tricky. I actually don't know the AU one. I do know the AW. So let me show you here real quick. Here's VIH. So this is the SPAC, which is looking to acquire Backed, and right now that deal is in transition. You saw a great move up yesterday on this one. I woke up, I was like, wow, that's make for a nice week. So if you look right now, it's trading at 1873. And in theory, when this ticker symbol changes from VIH to whatever the new ticker symbol will be for BAKKT, then I'm hoping that the price is going to be going up from there. I don't know. At this point, it's almost like I'm buying pre-IPO. I'm buying, I think my average price is $15.05 or something like that. My goal here is much higher price. I'm going to wait for the IPO, the actual conversion, and then let the hype of the crypto world push this thing up. And I think you're probably going to be looking at $30, $40 price target for VIH in a very short period of time once the deal is done and they actually do make a change. So to me, I like this one because I'm already in it. For me to get into Coinbase's IPO is going to be a real challenge. I mean, you have to know someone in the finance world who has some access to those shares and can put them in your account. Good luck. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be such a hot IPO, you're not going to get it. Now, to Tim's question is, what's the difference? You guys notice there's VIH, which is the one that I own. There's VIHAU, right, which is this one, which is trading at 21.17. You're like, well, wait a minute. The other one was 18 and change. Then there's VIH, it's AW. So you're like, why is this one trading at $5? Okay, VIHAW is a warrant, which is pretty much like an option. It says you have the right to buy something at a specific time. In this case, the strike price of these warrants is $11.50. So if you do the math here, you say the warrant is $11.50. You're paying $5 for that right to buy it at $11.50. It's basically saying they anticipate the price when this warrant expires, I don't know the date, is about $16. And I'm like, well, I don't know, that doesn't seem right. We're already trading at 18. So this is one instrument that you can buy that will allow you to buy it down the road. So it's literally like an options contract. It's called a warrant. I don't know what the AU is. You asked for which one would be the best for investment. I would go VIH. All right, VIH is the SPAC that's buying Backed. There you go. And Tiger, cheers. I'm glad you haven't had a drink in over a month. You got more willpower than me, but cheers. Good luck on the sobriety non-drinking thing. That's great for you. And I'm impressed with your bowling scores, buddy. It's pretty good. I was in a bowling league years ago. I can't even get close to what you do. It's pretty impressive. All right, let me go back to these charts here. So Tim, hopefully that helps you. I would go with VIH. When you're looking at a SPAC, there generally is going to be different ones. So for example, if you look at, what was that crappy car company that we talked about? Nikola, NKLA. I can say crappy car company. I'm so mean. Back to $20, right? Here's your Nikola, back to $20. We were looking at Nikola. There's warrants for Nikola as well. And on a lot of these companies, you're going to have warrants available, which means it's the ability to buy this share price in the future at a set price. So, if you're a little bit more speculative, you could actually buy those warrants on VIH. Otherwise, I would just go to VIH. That's the one I'm in, and that's the one I will stick with. All right, let's try the next one. This is really along the same lines as Tim's question. This is from Jeff, who I think might actually be in here with us today. He says, in regards to investing into a SPAC, VC, or VIH, what are some common criteria to keep in mind before getting into that investment? Do you get in with an exit plan in mind, hold for 5 years, then cash out? Do you have an idea of what it will be worth in 5 years? I don't. To me, this is a gamble play. This is a very, very dead gamble play for me. I say dead. I looked at the chat and I read the word dead. Thanks, Medic. You're screwing me up over here. It's not a dead play. It's basically me taking a flyer and saying, I believe in this technology. I believe in whatever company's being acquired, and my target is definitely down the road at a much higher price. I'm going to wait until this thing actually comes to market and see what the price ends up being, and I'm hoping it happens right before the Coinbase IPO, simply because the hype will be on both of these, and the attention will be, it would be better for VIH because people won't be able to buy the Coinbase IPO yet, but in the talk track, the narrative from all the stations and media experts, they'll be talking about VIH, which you can buy into right now, and that would end up pushing it up even more. So this is different for me. I'm not a big long-term investing guy. I'm not a fan of long-term investing. I'm much more active. I do have holdings, which I'll rotate in and out of based off of price targets. So with this one, with these SPACs, to me, I'm going to let it ride probably for, my guess on this one would probably be, we'll see what happens by the end of the year. But I have no real set amount on them. Again, the challenge with all SPACs is I don't know whether the executive team at VIH paid too much or too little for Backed. Right now it's $18. Well, I don't know. Let me see the financials. Is this a good number? Is this a bad number? I don't know. But I'm hoping, not hoping. Hoping is a foul, disgusting four-letter word. Hope is bad in trading. My anticipation is that the hype will be so elevated that 18 will be, a drop in the bucket by the time I end up selling this thing. Too much space, huh, Pepe? Not enough. You guys notice this is the same glass. I'm just sipping at it. But to Jeff's point, if this thing does run, I may end up holding it for, it could be a few years, but it'll be one of those things where as it gets up to like $30, $40 range, I'll be moving a stop loss up here and let that thing, run. But if it has a big pullback, I'll just get out of it and lock in those profits, because I'm really more interested in making the profits than I am the actual exchange. I mean, that's a bottom line with most of my trading. To be honest, I don't really care what the companies are. I'm just looking at people's expectation of this company to push it up or down, whether I'm long or short. Simon says, so Merlin, if we buy shares of VIH, it will automatically convert to Backed? Yep. Without us having to do anything? Yes, absolutely. So basically what happened is once the deal is signed and sealed between VIH and Backed, there'll be a date where it rolls over and VIH ceases to exist. It will now be the new ticker symbol, and it will begin trading like a standard IPO that day. That's it. It's real simple and easy. And you notice a lot of these SPACs, have these really crazy charts where they go flatline, and then they find, I'll show you. I'm trying to draw visually. I'm air signing over here. So let's look at VIH again. VIH wasn't doing anything back here. And then they made the announcement on the 8th of January that they're going to be doing a deal with Backed, and all of a sudden it just popped up, right? And yeah, it's had some fluctuations, but all in all, I think because of what's going on in crypto, the demand or need for an exchange-traded exchange like Backed is becoming more and more popular in the marketplace, especially with the recent statements from Elon Musk and other executives on how they're going to hold crypto on their balance sheet. I think it's pretty impressive. Les says, since you don't like buy and hold, are you saying I was wrong to buy? No, I'm not saying that. Hey, I can never say anybody's wrong to buy. I can simply offer my opinion about a price point or a market, but no one's ever wrong. You're wrong, and I guess you're wrong when you close out the trade and you lost money. Then I can say, well, you're wrong, right? But that's always hindsight, so I would never berate or belittle you like that, Les. Don't worry. Yes, Christian says expectations can bring in nice profits. And, it's really just about looking out and like I said, what are the hottest areas of the market right now? I would say, personally, that marijuana and cannabis industry, while I still believe heavily in the prospects of it going forward, if you're to do a cannabis IPO right now, it wouldn't have as much attention because you already have so many key players out there. The electric vehicle space is a little bit different, right? You're still seeing how that one's forming and developing. So I think you have some excitement there, especially with things like the electric stations, etc. You look at space. The landing on Mars created a whole new set of hype and enthusiasm for space exploration. And just imagine if some company gets out there, lands on some planet or an asteroid, and all of a sudden, it's a solid gold asteroid or pure titanium, and all of a sudden this company's rich beyond their dreams. Those types of things are very Star Wars-ish as they land and start mining planes. You watch The Expanse on Amazon Prime. That's a pretty damn good one. But to me, it's all about jumping on the expectation or the hot area. And to me, crypto, without a doubt, is probably the hottest area, especially because it's just getting some regulatory glances. And if we do get regulation on it, if you do see like Bank of New York Mellon basically saying we are going to accept Bitcoin and Bitcoin deposits, etc., that starts to legitimize the industry even more. And pretty soon you'll be able to go to your Wells Fargo or your Chase and be like, yeah, I'm going to deposit my paycheck and I'll pull out, 2 Bitcoin. Those types of things. All right. Surprised Binance isn't joining the fight. Yeah, keep your eyes on Binance. Binance, well, my guess is, if I was to start a SPAC today, right now, I would go right across to Binance and say, look, let's do this. I want to do a SPAC for Binance. They're bigger than Coinbase. Now, you know about the customer base. I'm not exactly sure on the number of clients, but you look at the offerings. To me, the structure, the website, all that is way better on Binance. So yeah, let's do a SPAC and go to Binance. Anybody got any some connections there? Let's do it. All right, what else do I got? Merlin, I tried to buy Planet 13, and none of my brokers allow me to buy it. And that's because they're not going to get shares of it. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of the beast. Brokers, man, they're scheming for themselves. Oh, Planet. Okay, dispensary, right? I thought for some reason I thought space, but it's a dispensary. All right, let me go to another listener question here, and we'll keep rolling through. Half hour into the show already. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't get to this one at the end. What are your thoughts on Riot and ETFs like ARKG and ARKQ? Well, I'm a fan. I'm always a fan of ETFs because I think that they allow you to diversify your holdings without getting caught. Now, Riot blockchain, I'd be a little skeptical on this one. If you are looking at buying into Riot, I would probably do it with options so you can limit your risk a little bit. If you can, if they're liquid enough, and judging by 34 million shares average per day, my guess is they're fairly liquid. But this one is obviously incredibly volatile. It's a little risky in my opinion. I would find a price point that you're happy to buy in much lower, sell some puts, and collect premium until it got down to your strike price. Now, as far as ARKG, any ETF I'm generally a fan of because it spreads around that risk. It prevents me from buying one instrument and taking on single stock risk, which is very, very dangerous. I didn't say that word again, did I? Dang it. Is it space again? Technically, this one looks great, doesn't it? It may not look as parabolic, but honestly, it's gone in from November through today. It's gone from about $65 up to 107. Great. It's making higher highs, higher lows. It's stalling right now, right? You notice it's just kind of hesitating here and not making a higher high over the past month. That's still fine. Still looks good to me. The trend is your friend to the bend at the end. This thing's making higher lows, higher highs, so I'm good for it. Riot Blockchain is a blockchain company. Recommended stock trading movies or series? I don't know. If you want humor ones, The Big Short is great. That's a really good one. I always like Trading Places, but that's making a little bit of fun of the trading world. Wall Street's pretty good too. Not the remake or the series second one, but I don't really have any good trading movies. Unfortunately, I'm not. I'm sure the audience might actually have more than that. Oh yeah, there is one called, if I remember correctly, there's one on YouTube called, I think it's called The Floor, I think it's The Floor. And that one, from all my Chicago buddies, are saying it's just a great movie. I have not seen it myself, but it's all about the floors out in Chicago, which I think would be pretty entertaining. All right, more questions. Keep them coming. What time we got? What time is it? All right, we got plenty of time. Okay, Rudy says, can you discuss in your show the relationship between the dollar and small caps versus large caps? Why does IWM seem stronger than SPY? Does it have anything to do with the dollar? Well, no. there's a historical relationship between the US dollar, which I will bring up on the screen here. We'll go $DXY, and the equity markets. And that relationship is generally a weak dollar, meaning when the US dollar index is trending down, that it's positive for the equity markets because it means the dollars are cheaper. So anybody who is an exporter, whether it's small cap or large cap, doesn't matter. But if you're an exporter, you would be able to, in theory, sell more and export more because, let's say, a euro can now buy more US dollars. They could buy more of your inventory because it's cheaper for them to buy it. So a weak dollar is generally good for the economy because it helps companies who are exporting. Now, when you have a rising dollar, obviously that makes things more expensive for anybody outside of the U.S. borders or trading with other than U.S. dollars. So it's not that it impacts necessarily small caps versus large caps differently. I think it impacts overall the same. I think the reason that you're seeing something like SPY, let me bring up SPY. I'm going to have to do a split screen here, so bear with me. Make any trades today? No, I got to delete that one. And I will copy and put these side by side so you can see the difference between the two. Just bear with me as I map out this stuff live. Paste that window. All right. So I'll put this one down here. So at the bottom of your screen, I'm going to put the SPY. At the top, I'll put the Russell 2000. Why are you not stretching properly? Okay, so there's your SPY. Let me add on the IWM. And I'll use the ETFs. I think it's just easier to take a quick glance. So SPY is on the bottom, IWM's at the top. Now, trajectory-wise, they both look the same, right? There it is. Thank you, FX Green. The show is called Floored on YouTube. Yeah. I might have to watch that one this weekend now that I'm talking about it. Almost all the Chicago traders rave about it. Probably because they know everybody in the damn movie. You look at this situation here, and I don't know why, factually you have the Russell 2000 outperforming. And if you don't think it's outperforming, let me just draw percentage gains here, and we'll show in snap mode. So you can see the S&P has gone. Ooh, it's doing live stuff sometimes is a challenge. So the S&P has gone from those lows back in March to where we closed at today, right? It's 79%. Nice move. But if you look at what the Russell 2000 has done from those same lows to where we closed at today, the Russell is up about 136%. Very different trajectory here. And normally, the Russell 2000, which is small caps, right? It's 2,000 small cap companies. A lot of people reference that as the canary in the coal mine. It's kind of that warning sign for the markets. In bullish market phases, when things are really ripping to the upside, generally the Russell 2000 will outperform the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Dow. Why? Because there's a belief that when the markets are moving up, you have the big companies, which are your S&P, NASDAQ, Dow companies. They're going to acquire some of the smaller fish. And maybe what we've seen here is a lot of merger and acquisition driving those companies up. Also, I think what it is a lot of those companies that are small caps are, Russell 2000 companies. They're smaller price. And I believe that you're seeing a lot of new retail people come into the marketplace and buy cheap stuff. New traders always have this issue where it's like, oh, well, I'm going to buy that $1 stock because it could turn into a $100 stock. I don't see why I would want to buy a $100 stock, right? Well, if you make 10% on a trade, whether it's a $100 stock or a 10-cent stock, it's still the same percentage rate of return. You just have to put up less capital for the other one. But, if I have $100 and I buy one share of a $100 stock versus, 100 shares of a dollar stock, and I gain 10%, it's still 10% on my $100. So I don't get it. It's a novice fallacy in the marketplace, and people are usually attracted to cheaper prices. So I think, in a long-winded sentence, that's part of the reason you're seeing the Russell move up, is a lot of it's cheap securities. So people are running filters and scans for names that are cheap, and they're buying it. A lot of the Wall Street bets, Reddit stuff, are just people who don't know what they're doing. They're just looking for cheap penny stuff. Now, there is a guy that followed me. I won't mention his name, but about 3 months ago, this guy added me and was following me and posted a couple things here and there about his trading. Within the last, I would say, 6 months, he now makes it seem like he's the greatest person who's ever started investing, ever on the planet, boasts about making $100,000 a day, which I seriously call bullshit on. And what is he doing? It's all basically buying in these Reddit Wall Street bets, pump and dump securities. Now he's starting his own school now because apparently he's so good at what he does. This is, to me, typical. Most of the Reddit stuff that I've looked at is people buying small cap stocks. They're buying One of the big ones that people have been looking at in the Reddit group was, what is the name of that cannabis company? There's a new cannabis company, SNDL, right? This is a not really new one, but this is one that everyone's pumping big time right now is SNDL. And a week ago, this guy's boasting how he made so much money on SNDL. I'm pretty sure you probably gave it all back, buddy, or gave back a large chunk of it. These are potential candidates for the Russell 2000 because they're small caps. So, these types of things I think are one of the reasons why you're seeing the Russell move up is it's so many small cap companies and retail investors like that type of stuff. All right. What else do I have for you guys? Any other questions? I'm looking for question marks from you guys. Recommended stock trading movies. We already had that one. I can't think of any off the top of my head. I actually wanted to start a trading show, like a you have the Ultimate Fighter. Do the Ultimate Trader. It'd be so great to have the Ultimate Trader. All right, let's see if I got a couple more questions here, and then I'll wrap it up. I have to do this one real quick. This is totally non-trading related, but Michael, who is in Sweden, always asks me questions, and if I don't answer him, he asks it every single day until I answer it. So I'm going to go through a funny story here. I had the opportunity to go to Sweden to DJ a friend of mine's wedding many moons ago, and absolutely love Sweden. If you have not been, not only the Swedish people, just amazing people, beautiful country, love the food. It was just a great time. Anyway, I'll tell you a funny story here, and it's something I think we can all relate to, which is how you got to be careful when people tell you something. So he says, I cannot wait to hear your stories of Sweden. I'm wondering what they're about when you say you have extra time, when you have extra time in your show. So, not that I have extra time, but I'm just going to just tell you this one just because it's a funny story. So, years ago, again, I was at this wedding, or I went to Sweden to DJ my friend's wedding, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to have some fun. So he hooked me up with an apartment. His family had an apartment there. I go over to his family's house, who are fairly well off, and I'm sitting around his family's house. We're having a great time. It's before the wedding. We're all talking about, where we traveled from. I lived in Italy at this moment in time, and I was just visiting for the wedding. So they put me up in this apartment. I'm like having glasses of wine with the family, and of course I'm a social person, so I wanted to go out and experience things, but I don't know a lick of Swedish. I have no clue. So I brought a bottle of wine, which is a Brunello Montepulciano 96, which by the way is a very rare wine, and it was incredibly good. And the dad just lost it. He was like, "Oh my God, can I have some?" So we're drinking wine, and I said, "Look, I'm gonna go out tonight and check the place out. How would I go about meeting somebody? Like, how do you say like hello in Swedish, right? I don't know, even the basic stuff. Of course, we all want to learn the cuss words. I need to learn how to say hello." And he goes, he says, he raises his hand like to stop everybody, and they all kind of looked at him, and he goes, "Do you want to meet a girl? You see them in the bar? You just say, Smiska me. Smiska me." And I'm like, and he goes, "Say it back." So you say it right. I go, "Smiska me." He goes, "Good. Oh, you're going to have a great time." I'm like, "Oh, awesome." So later on that evening, I head out. I've got a nice little buzz on from the wine and the grappa, or not grappa. They have schnapps that they like to drink up there. And I walk into this restaurant. I post up at the bar. I look over to the left, and there's this, stunningly beautiful girl. And I'm all embarrassed, and like I'm kind of smiling at her. And she inches closer, and I just look at her, I go, "Smiska me." I smile, "Smiska me." And she's like, "What?" Kind of taken back by this. And I thought, oh man, did he tell me something like, did I say something wrong? So I said it again, and she comes closer to me, and she rears back her arm, like as far back as she can, and she proceeds to smack me so hard on my backside, I was stunned for him. I thought she might have hurt her hand because she hit me so hard. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And in perfect English, because they all speak perfect English there, she goes, "You just told me to spank you." And I was thinking of this guy's dad. I'm like, you basically told me as a introduction line to say spank me. And in hindsight, it was probably one of the greatest lines ever. I used it a couple more times on the trip. Anyway, there's my Swedish story. I'm not going to go down the road of international travels and language disparities, which is always an entertaining one. But when somebody tells you, "Oh, you meet somebody, say this," you might want to check it out in the dictionary. What else we got? Oh, Brian says Walmart. Okay, let me check this one out. So something interesting happened, and I'll say, Brian, I've never seen that before. I actually had to call some of my, diehard just straight options traders, and even they were like, "That's really weird." So what happened with Brian the other day, he said he was looking at Walmart options. Let me pull up the option chain and see if it's still there. Options chain pro. So normally there's strike price, hundreds of strike prices on different securities for options. In this specific case, there was like 5 strike prices for Walmart for the May contract, and that just seemed really, really awkward. So, well, I don't know why it's not letting me bring up the option chain. There it is. All right, let me share that with the viewers out there. Here is the option chain. So you can see for February, this is the February 21st, which actually expired already. Let's go to, let's say, March, right? You see there's tons of strike prices. Current strike price at the money would be right around 135, 140, but you can see it goes all the way down to 60, all the way up to 220, and I could probably get more than this as well if I wanted to, okay? But let's look at the May one. So I'm going to go to May, and there's 5 strike prices. I do not understand. I don't know, Brian. I can't answer this for you. What I do know is that they're required, if you are on the option chain, if you have options on it, they're required to have 2 monthly expirations. So, like, here's your April. There should be plenty of liquidity, and you can see all the open interest over here as well. They're supposed to have, monthly options, but for the next 2 months. What's bizarre about this, and I almost felt like it was a data glitch on my end, but I had people check on other platforms as well, and they said the same thing. Like, well, it's showing up as 5 strikes. Because I could go out here to September of 2021 and notice all the strike prices. So, Brian, I honestly don't know. I talked to 2 other of my options buddies who this is all they do is trade options, and they went, well, that's really weird. I've never seen that before. So I'm not sure. I honestly can't tell you. It's a good catch. I feel like something's wrong with that strike price. Maybe is there some big event happening that day, and they're not having options expire on that day? I don't know. It's a bizarre one, Brian. I had to ask around, but I did not get a good answer. What's bizarre is there's only 5. I would imagine there'd be like none or all of them. So, and what's also strange about it is it's very low liquidity. Like there's almost no open interest on these options as well. So I apologize for not being able to get you your answer for that one. Let's see. AG. Oh, Harrison, did you see the Koenigsegg airship? No, but boy, I'm a fan of Koenigsegg. I mean, I'm not a car buff. Like, I don't really care. I think I guys told you. If you gave me a LaFerrari, which is $1 million car, I would just sell it and buy myself a Toyota Tundra, fully loaded 4x4 double cab truck, and save or invest the rest or travel around the world. I don't really see the need for it. But boy, I do like the Koenigsegg. The Agera is pretty badass. It was the fastest land speed vehicle out there. All right, let me go to more listener questions here so I can wrap this up. AG, are you asking about the AG equity, First Majestic Silver Corp? Is that what you're asking me about, Rob? If you are, let me know. Check that one out. I'm still bullish on silver, even though you had that big spike because of the Reddit group out there. I'm still bullish on it. Medic, if you ever go to Sweden and you just meet someone in a bar, especially if it's someone you want to be. It's a great icebreaker, right? It could not have been a better icebreaker. I mean, he could have told me like some overly dirty words, like I want you to, something, but luckily spank me. I was just so innocent, and it was great. And I had a great conversation with that girl after. It was awesome. Yeah. The other one was kind of funny as I'm walking down the street, and they're all like these blonde Amazons. They're all taller than me and blonde and blue eyes, and she's walking towards me. And she stops and is like, I'm like, oh, I go, my Swedish is a little rusty. And in perfect English, she goes, oh, I'm sorry, do you have a light? Like she could have seriously been a beach bum from California. I would not have known the difference. The Swedes speak perfect English. It'll blow you away. All right, AG. It's got a lot of the criteria that I like. Number 1, it has ample volume, so you got liquidity is great. It is. I don't know much about First Majestic as a specific company because I'm not usually looking in silver companies. All in all, I like it a lot. I'm a little concerned that it's up almost 100% in a very short period of time, but look, we're in an area right now where that's just the norm. If you take out that anomaly blip, right? If you take out this part right here, let me turn off the drawing mode. If you take out this giant pop-up, which was, let's call it the Reddit spike, it's looking pretty good right now. It actually feels to me like it's the way it closed today, which is kind of a shooting star formation. That's the last little red candle you have. It feels like it wants to have a little bit of a pullback, and I think there's a lot of buy points in here. Potentially 14 would be a good buy point for me. Maybe even this 1550 mark would be a potential buy point. But I like the uptrend. I'd be looking to buy into that uptrend at a point that you're comfortable with, but Expect a pullback here. Feels like just the way that last candle formed, it wants to go down a little bit. And I'm not saying it's a total crash, but it's a shooting star formation. Closed right near the low of the day at 1749. I'm feeling a little bearish just maybe over the next day or two, but I do think long term you'll see silver move up. Let's check out the silver futures. The price looks lockstep with silver futures. Actually looks stronger than silver. But all in all, I'm still bullish on silver. I want to see this trend continue to the upside, which we have established here really from November through now. It's just been making higher highs and higher lows. So I need to see another run at that $30 mark. Like those Tundras. Yeah, well, right now I'm a Tacoma guy just because I'm in the city and, I don't want to have too big of a truck. But yes, I am a Tundra guy. Although I have been checking out the Ford Raptor. I'm a full-size truck guy. It's funny, I'm a small guy that likes full-size trucks. All right, space. All right, let's see. Medic Man, Tesla might have a car coming soon for $25K. Probably. Right now I think Tesla is going to be on this rush to not raise the barrier to entry per se, because you have GM, which has made it very clear that they're going to be going all electric, man. That seems to be their path. But if you can roll cars out as cheap as possible and get everybody into your vehicle before the other ones come out, then you kind of kill those people as well. Alan, that's a great comment. Alan says it's getting cumbersome trying to analyze stocks with these Reddit spikes. Well, I'll tell you this. We can point the fingers at this Reddit group, but look, Reddit groups weren't around when I was trading back in the late 90s, but it was a Yahoo chat room, or it was a pump and dump by Jim Cramer, right? Jim Cramer was famous for, booyah, buy this company, blah, 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 hitting the bullhorn and all that stuff, and, the retail investor was influenced by that and swayed by that. So, it's nothing new. It's just a different way for people to aggregate and make investing and trading decisions. And yes, you're probably going to continue to see it. I don't see that changing. It might actually get bigger depending on the attention that the industry gets and the lockdowns that government might put on it. So, it's just kind of that new norm. The good news is this. Most of this Reddit stuff is buy this company. You don't see them too often ganging up and saying short this company. So to me, there you have a little bit of an advantage if you're a long buy and hold investor, because most of the time it's buy something, right? Most are going to be looking for the buy side. Pan American Silver. I dumped my Pan American Silver, I think it was 23? That was a while back. Oh, yeah. I dumped mine. I think I dumped mine at 20, right as we came into this high again. So it was right around 23, 25. If I line those two up, AG versus Pan American Silver, I'm going purely on the technical side here. So it's a great comment, Okanola. Years ago, I did the analysis on Pan American Silver, and I liked it. That's why I bought it. But if I look at it now, and I go against AG, AG looks better. If you go back here, they kind of were lockstep in 2020. They were pretty tightly locked together. But what's interesting about what's happening with AG is it's all of a sudden, from this point right here, which was going back to November 24th of last year, it's making higher highs and higher lows. Whereas AG, or Pan American Silver, from that same point, has not made, it's basically been going sideways. It's kind of tapping those same lows, almost making a new low. So to me, that's a little worrisome here if I was looking at AG, or I keep messing them up, I'm sorry. A little worrisome if I'm trading Pan American Silver, because it just doesn't feel like it has the strength in the price chart from a technical perspective. Now, you're probably fine holding both of these. But, if I had to choose, I would take AG. And it's not because AG is $17 and passes 32. It's just I'm looking at the chart. And we could go from the peaks from August. Pan American Silver is down. AG is up. Period. Done. Yeah, I'm going to... Well, maybe we can do a Raptor show another time. I do like the Raptor. I don't know. I just don't see the point in spending that much money on a truck. If I get more property, I move and get some different land, because I'm in Southern California. It's city, busy streets. Let's see. What other questions I have here? That's right, Alex. You can't take a man out of NorCal, but you can't take NorCal out of the man. I will always be a NorCal guy. Give me a truck. I'm a utility person. I think that you guys can probably figure from this show is I don't like... I'm very practical with things. Like, I'm going to be buying something if it provides utility. For example, I'm ripping a whole hedge out in front of my house that whoever owned this house before me put it in. It's hideous. And for me, it bugs me because this hedge doesn't do anything. It looks like a dragon just sitting out there. It's horrible. What would I rather do? I would rather have something there that produces. So I'm going to rip it all out. I'm putting in pineapple, strawberry guavas, a whole hedge of them. So when I want to make a nice cocktail, I can have some pineapple guava or strawberry cocktail guava or juice. I already put in my pomegranates and my passion fruits and my peaches and other guavas, but I got to make it work. Maybe another hour show. Yeah, Les, we're pretty much there. Let's see. Larry says, I like Reminiscence of a Stock Operator book. I think it's one of the best books out there. It's funny. I have a copy of it sitting right here on my desk. And it's not like you get just amazing trading advice out of this book. What I like about it is it's a story of emotions and psychology and behavioral analysis and of a bygone era, but it still translates well into today. So I am a huge fan of Reminiscence of a Stock Operator. For those of you who are thinking about going out and buying it, there's only two books that you should buy. That's the book about the Fed by Tilly Allison and my book if I ever publish it. So don't try to pirate that one. But if you go onto Google and you just type in Reminiscence of a Stock Operator.pdf, you can find it there. It's free. Download on your Kindle, and you'll be good to go. Okay, last one for Alpha Intelligence, and yeah, it's probably going to be an hour show. I thought I'd be able to get out of here earlier, but no, I had to keep it going. Alpha says, new Bitcoin trusts are popping up to compete with GBTC, like OBTC, which might have smaller management fees. GBTC might have to lower their fees to compete. What do you think? You are going to see a lot of entrance into this space, without a doubt. Let's put OBTC on the top, and I'm going to put GBTC on the bottom. So, obviously OBTC just recently came out, so the price chart's going to look very different. Wow, something looks really screwy with that one. It was $60, now it's trading at $24. This is, again, why I don't like trading things that are IPOs, because I think it's going to still be working some kinks out of the system. Right now, I would go with the established ones until there's sufficient volume in, like, OBTC. I'll add on volume here so you guys can see. There should be some volume in there. Why is it not showing any volume? Huh. That's pretty strange. There might be no volume. I mean, is this thing not trading? Let me go down here at the bottom. OBTC. Well, that is really strange. It's saying it's traded 600,000 today. I don't know. There seems to be something wrong with this bad boy. OBTC. It says it's trading at 24. I wouldn't touch him. So let's go back. Number one is when you look at these new entrants in the marketplace, you're going to have Grayscale, which is basically the lead dog in the space of crypto trust, or ETFs as they like to call them. Not truly ETFs, they're really more of a trust. They're rolling out a whole series of new ones. You have Ethereum, but you're going to have, Ripple. Well, maybe not Ripple, but you'll have a lot of them. A lot of these new ones coming onto marketplace. I would certainly make sure you wait until they have sufficient volume. If you look at GBTC, it has decent volume. I mean, you're dealing with something that's fairly liquid. 18 million shares of GBTC traded per day. That's what's important. If you don't have that sort of liquidity, and it doesn't have to be 18 million, right? But let's say, 2 million a day, it would be a minimum. Then yes, you might want to switch over and use OBTC if it has sufficient volume to save yourself on fees, right? The fees are critical on it. Let's go to the 15. I know some of them be like a data glitch. Like, why am I not seeing it on the daily? So there's your volume, 15-minute chart. Yeah, you can see it on intraday. I'll do a 15 at the bottom just to put it into perspective. And I'll zoom out so these charts kind of line up. So to put it into perspective, on average, GBTC is doing 635,000 shares traded per 15 minutes, and OBTC is only doing 16,000. So the liquidity just isn't quite there yet for me. Thanks, Medic. I didn't think to go to the smaller time frame. That works. So I'd be very skeptical on it. But yeah, at some point, Alpha, you are going to have a buffet of these ones to choose from. And what you're going to have a Bitcoin, an Ethereum, a Litecoin, a Ripple, maybe not Dogecoin, but you'll have all these out there to choose from. Liquidity is key. Make sure it has ample volume. At some point, what you're going to have is also a crypto ETF, meaning this one ETF holds a portfolio like the Dixie, right? The Dixie has all 6 different currencies and predominantly the euro. You probably have an ETF that is holding 6 or 10 different cryptocurrencies, actual physical holding those. And to me, that's coming here in the near future, which might make it so much easier for you guys to own the crypto space. Chad says, I know what space smells like, and I'm ready to see. Are you a fan, Chad? We got a fish fan here. This was actually this one over here. This was actually the New Year's show. one of the reasons I'm a big fish fan, guys, is they're just, you never know what to expect, right? So I'll wrap it up with a funny little story here, and then I'll call it a day. Every Halloween, fish, for their second set, they play 3 sets. For their second set, they play an album from somebody in the past. They played, Talking Heads or Rolling Stones. They played The Who. So they're always, basically from beginning to end, they'll just pick an album and say, we're going to play Quadrophenia or the Beatles' White Album. It's an amazing time, and they do a pretty good job of it. So when you walk in on Halloween night, they give you a playbill. Like, it looks like a theater playbill about the album. And on this specific one, the Space one, which was what year? Where is it at? 2018. We walk in and we get this playbill, and it's like Kostet Voss. And they give a whole history of the album and why it was so significant, why it was so important to them. And everybody's looking going, who the hell is Kostet Voss? I've never heard of this freaking band. And it was like some 80s, synth pop band, and they're all talking about how amazing the keyboards were and how instrumental it was to Fish's development. I'm like, I've never even heard of these people. So the show comes out, and I mean, it's over the top, lights, and they did all kinds of different production they normally do. Everything's all white. Long story short, they basically created a full album from scratch, made up a brand new album, and under this fake pseudonym of Kostet Voss, and played their second set as this crazy, funky, jamming synth pop album from the 80s. It was pretty damn cool. Anyway, that's what that poster's from. Good eye, Chad. Good eye. Okay, Tom, 600,000 shares per day on Thinkorswim. Yeah, I don't know why I'm getting a data error with TradeStation. It's weird that it doesn't show up on the daily, but it shows up on like an hourly or any intraday time frame. So it's kind of odd. Actually, 15 minutes, the only one it works on. Anyway, it's still brand new, so I would shy away from that one. Shy away from that as well. All right, I don't remember. I didn't take inventory of or 1 hour. Damn it. I didn't take inventory of earnings announcements for Monday or the economic calendar, so I'm going to let you guys do that one. That said, I'm going to go enjoy some outside space, a nice cold frosty glass of whiskey. I wish you all have a fantastic weekend. I will see you on Monday. Let me tell you about the guest, actually, because the list of guests for this next week, I'm pretty happy about. It's going to be a fun one. There's a lot of good people going to be on the program. Monday, we're going to have John Rowland on. Now, he's been talking about how natural gas, remember he said a couple weeks ago, he sees natural gas potentially doubling. Okay, I'm all ears. I want to know. Anything that's going to move 100%, I want to hear it. So I've got John Rowland on Monday, Bill Addis on Tuesday talking bonds. On Wednesday is a little bit of a special treat. What I'm going to do is I'm going to play the show. I'm going to post it so it looks like it's playing live, and I'm just going to be in chat with you guys, but I'm going to have Jim Rogers on the program, but unfortunately the time's not going to allow him to do a 2 p.m. live show. So I will record the show, and then I'm just going to post it. We won't do any editing on it. It is what it is. If I mess up or embarrass myself in front of Jim Rogers. If you don't know who Jim Rogers is, Google him. He is, I would say, an icon in the trading world. He really started up the Soros Fund and other things. So Jim Rogers will be the guest on Wednesday, which I'm excited about. Move to Thursday, I'm going to have Brandon Wendell back on the program. He's been making some great calls on his Twitter feed if you haven't checked that out. And then Friday will be me by myself talking about the market. So that is my next week's schedule. Hope you enjoy your weekend. If you have anything that you guys want me to discuss or talk about, you can always email me. Of course, the date's wrong on this one. You gotta love when I just don't prepare properly for my show. If you have any questions, you can email me. It's pretty simple to do. Just send an email to TraderMerlin@gmail.com. If you like the show, click the thumbs up. If you're new and made it all the way through an hour show, congratulations. Hit that subscribe button so we can do it all again next week. Take care, everybody. I'll see you next week.
Harvard.